Are we live?
Hi folks, like I say, we're doing a live from when Shirebrook Most Haunted first started, and this was it. This is where we first started, here. But we didn't get to know this place until, well, when I was in the force, they did have a community house at Castle Estate. And that's what got me into it, because they thought it was haunted upstairs, so we went, being at police, you know what I mean, I thought, I've heard things that exist, so that's how Shirebrook Most Haunted first started. And then they pointed this place out to us. So we went to Balsoffer Castle, and this is where English Heritage comes in, folks. They were fantastic with us, plus they knew me anyway. So, and we went there for information for this place. Sadly, there were a leaflet and a picture and opening times. So, but they did help us out by getting us an appointment into Matlock Archives. So we went there, had the appointment, got in there, and I've got to laugh. People say that I do say things as I say it, and I have to laugh because this is true. That we went in, and trust me, you have to wear gloves, white gloves. And this bloke, like Rickety, comes walking with a book. And I said to my mate, I says, he looks like him out of Tomb Raider game. The butler. You ever seen the Tomb Raider game? But he looked like that. So yeah, so we researched this place. And this is it. This is the first bit here belonged to Sir Francis Leake. But before that, folks, there's actually part of a wall there that was an abbey. Before they removed the monks, and then this was built. And then it's still led to believe there's 3 tunnels, well, coming from this, because the monks, as you know, folks, dig tunnels to escape. Now, we know the Cavendish, Balsoffer Castle, straight over there.
Get that view.
Yes, we're going to get a view, folks.
There's a castle somewhere there.
Yeah, so what they did is, you imagine, you got to clear that. It would have been fields and whatever. So they could see if the army's coming, so they could go under the tunnels and come back up again. So, but sadly they lost the land. Sir Francis Leake got it, and this is where the beginning of the building. People assume it was the old building. It was not the old building. Because I will explain with that one that it was not the old building. But we did research, we did laugh. This is true, this is. Apparently, Oliver Cromwell sent his men to arrest Sir Francis Leake. Now, you imagine, Sir Francis Leake says, no, you're not arresting me, I'm reinforcing. He reinforced the hall, then realised down below there were 500 men. So he surrendered straight away. But I will show you, because I want to start from this point. People don't realise with this point here that this was the start of the hall. So I will take you round to the next point, that where it began with Nicholas Leake.
Am I actually like in the
As
book?
you can see, folks, you know what I mean, it is a grand building, but we did do the research.
Scarsdale Hall.
Yeah, so you got to imagine Sir Francis Leake. Right. That's I got to tell you a story. This is true, folks. That me and Westwood, when we first started, we actually doing the history to it, and we didn't realise a group of pensioners were parked the bus.
Watch the
So I'm walking backwards, folks. Yeah, and as we was talking about it, they stood behind me. So I turned around, and apparently they were fascinated with the story I was telling them. And they thought I was a tourism. I mean, you imagine this grand.
Too much light in there.
Right, we'll get to a place that a gentleman walked his dog and he now recognised it was Shirebrook Most Haunted. And he said his mum worked here. His mum was still alive at the time. And she actually had photos of this in its original state.
Mm.
myself in.
Yeah, you see these cottages here? She actually lived in one of them. And we went round, me and Westwood, and I'll never forget it because it was so comical because it was China cup and saucer. And you know what that's like, don't you? But I must point down that way that there was a boating lake, well, that belonged to the family. We're not 100% sure, but we did find a grave, the daughter of Arkwright, and she's buried there. People are led to believe, I mean, sadly the boathouse is gone, but they believe that she drowned there, and that's where people have claimed to have seen her, the figure of her. But sadly, the motorways took over. I mean, I've got those maps, still got the maps to this place. I will post them on to prove that we're doing this history, and you will discover the truth. Because we will be going to the Lodge Farm, and sadly, I will be telling the story about that one. That people will be shocked with that one. Yes, we've got somebody here. What's your name again? Lily. We've got Lily. She's actually done a drawing of Shorty. I will post that on, folks. Yes, her mum's a big fan of Shirebrook Most Haunted.
Danny,
And you know the other one.
that's the legend that made her.
Look at that.
And a little legend. Yeah. The youngest investigator.
Right, you can see the stables or whatever, folks.
Right.
Which one's the stables?
There was around here, they're all around
Oh,
here.
so that bit's there, what's...
Yeah, that would have been the outer building.
Right.
Woo. Which one going?
Right, folks, I'm going to tell us. We will go into the graveyard, folks. I will be pointing out. Right, Sir Francis Leake was actually made Sir by Charles I. We know he was executed. Sir Francis Leake was a royalist, do you know what I mean? He was a big fan of Charles. And then what happened was, you imagine, you've got to visualise, folks, there's one part of that building with Sir Francis Leake. And what he did, he had his men dig a tunnel going underneath to the graveyard. And what he did is, every Friday night he would come out in the graveyard in a cloak and lay in the grave. And that's a true story. You can actually research that, but we did discover that at the Matlock Archives. So now the other bit is where Nicholas Leake added on. What people didn't realise, we did discover, which English Heritage, they was happy with what we discovered. That if you actually look at the building, and this is where the story comes into it, if you look at the building, he extended. So you can imagine, but look at it, it's shaped like an N for Nicholas Leake. Status. Because there's a story behind this, right? You can research it, we've done it, do you know what I mean? But I'm going to say it anyway, because I love my history, as you know, folks. Right, Nicholas Leake was sent to the tower. Apparently he was plotting something. We're not quite sure. There's another farm, but Salah's been knocked down. We're not quite sure if he had out to do with that farm. But he was actually sent to the towers. And when he said to his wife, he cut his ring in half and told his wife, you recognise me if you keep this and when I return. Well, in the towers, as you know, there were big believers in God and everything else. So basically he was praying to God and saying, do you know what I mean, if you release me, then do you know what I mean, I'll have feed the poor and everything. So he got released. We believe that Bess and others had something to do, the Cavendish had something to do. He got released. He turned up the doorway to the kitchens. That used to be the kitchens. There were big kitchens. He turned up there, the maid answered the door and didn't recognise him because, well, basically, being in the Tower of London. So he gave her half the ring to give to his wife. So the maid took the ring, half the ring, his wife returned back and realised it was him. So after all that, things got sorted, but Nicholas Leake forgot his promise. that he was going to provide food for the poor. Now, there's cottages here, as you can see, his workforce. And what he did is, he forgot about it, and the kitchens actually flooded. Just the kitchens, just there. They're the ones that flooded. And then Nicholas Leake realised what he forgot, so he ordered his staff to make bread for the poor. And what he did is, on the bread, he had the letter underneath, the letter N. So he could show God that he provided that bread. And that's when we realised that the awl, the way he's designed the awl, is the shape of an N. So...
Right, Vicky's saying hello. Hello, Vicky.
Hello, Vicky. Yes, sweetheart.
Mark is asking where is this? We are in Scarsdale Hall. Yep.
Scarsdale Hall.
Yeah.
And this is where Shirebrook Most Haunted first started. And you imagine, folks, there's no history to this place back in the day. I just want to say, I've got to thank English Heritage for helping us out back in the day. The council, Derbyshire Council, or whatever, yeah, and also the, well, I wasn't the police anyway, so, but yeah, Derbyshire Police, because we did go to everywhere to discover the history to this. It was hard, folks. I mean, sadly, some people come with different stories, but we say it as we see it. We did the research to this, and I think you're going to be shocked with the Lodge Farm, because I will be sadly telling the story about the Lodge Farm when we get there, folks. But can you imagine a grand building like this? Now, just over there, we did discover that sadly a young lad, teenager, sadly lost his life. Him and his mates was climbing it and he fell to his death. It's led to believe that he died straight away because it snapped his neck. So the way he fell, they believe that his head just went back to his back, you know what I mean? Well, actually, we say it as we see it. But yeah, I saw the report, however, yeah, he did snap his neck. So, well, it was a good favour, actually. Just over there, I don't know if you can see it, that's the cellars. That's the tunnels. You see that little hole there?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see the hole. It's right there.
We've actually been in there because English Heritage allowed us in. I'll tell you something, it's massive. It is massive. Plus, they've blocked off where there's tunnels, they've blocked it off. I mean, we got the rumour that apparently somebody made out there's a reward of £10,000 if you can find the third tunnel. But we're suspicious, we think it's that away. Because if Sir Francis Leake did his own tunnel going to the graveyard, then did he extend the tunnel? This is where the lady claimed, told us, shown us the photos, the kitchen, and it was massive, folks. It was massive. Plus, you got the living quarters above. And I mean, now the good thing is, I think I contacted English Heritage not long back about this, and they did say, like I said, I did my live feed, that sadly they don't want people going on because they're actually going to make it safe again. So, and that's what I stressed, you know what I mean, come in the daytime because there's cameras around and you will be arrested or fined, you know what I mean, so I must warn you on that. Well, I did get permission, I did speak to them, they said it's fine, go in the daytime, but please warn others because people get fed up of it. So that's what we've done, we're doing what they've told us. So, right, we're going to go to the graveyard, right, and I'm going to show you where it's led to believe Sir Francis Leake had his grave. Yeah, the lady...
1 second, it's a bit of surrounding.
Yeah, the lady I'm talking about that lived there, bless her, I was told she's actually buried over there. So, well, I'm not going to go there, do you know what I mean? So, it's respect. This is it, folks.
Lovely little graveyard.
I've got to tell you a story. We did a research and we did discover that there's actually a grave that's got my name, Mark Simpsons. And I had to laugh because my brother did the research from the tree. And it turned out that some of our family actually worked here.
Oh, it's a bit older.
Yeah, suddenly it looks like somebody's parked there, folks. Yeah. Just over there, as we worked out, that there was a thingy there, but sadly it's gone. Somebody swiped it. But yeah, it was over there that basically he had his grave dug out so he can go. As you can see, the doorway, do you know what I mean? But he did have a tunnel. And I don't know why the van's parked there, so.
Maintenance. Hi, Dom. Dom is saying hi.
Hi, Dom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you barefoot, folks. Now, this is the church that belonged to the Leake family. And then, I think it was 2008. I will look into it. Somebody did mention that I forgot to mention about it, that there was a barn. Now, you imagine the Arkwright family took over. And there's a barn that we couldn't find the gravestones to the Leake family. And then it wasn't until somebody told us, so we went to investigate it. They actually converted a barn here where they found 5 skeletons with the feet missing. Yeah, that's true though. So they're not quite sure if that family says, right, you're out of this place, we own it. As you can see, do you know what I mean? But I will show you the grave to Arkwright's daughter, the one that believes she just took her own life in the boating lake. So, and I will take you to that grave, folks, because it's just over there. People didn't realise that Arkwrights, yes, they did take over this, and they did live here, and sadly he lost 2 children. So, and this belonged to him when he took over, because when Nicholas Leake died, sadly he died bankrupt, because he was forever, ever expanding. So we did look at that, and he did actually die bankrupt. So, but I'm going to show you the grave of Arkwright's daughter. It's just over here.
Oh wow, look at these gravestones.
One of these, if I can remember. So that's one of the.
I can barely read anything.
You can't read it now.
Yeah, it's too.
But it is weird.
No, can't.
Well, sadly, it's been a long time, folks. Roy will tell you anyway, because we did come here with the Arkwrights, do you know what I mean? We'll have a look. I've got pictures of it anyway, do you know what I mean? But it's been a long time since I've been here.
You put it on the window.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're actually buried here. Roy probably got a picture of that, folks. But you can't see them.
Could have been the broken one.
Oh, it's here. She's here. I knew one of these. Yeah, she's here. The daughter of the late William Arkwright in Scarsdale Hall. Yeah, she's here.
29.
Yeah. But they believe she took her own life. So there's so many stories surrounding it. But I must admit, I did have a medium. I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was too fantastic. And that's laugh because I did go with a group. And they got this rumour about this white lady. They see this white lady. And the spirit medium says, I see a spirit. So I'm like, as everybody knows, I say it is. So I says, who is it? And she says, the white lady. Now, you had to laugh, folks, because Christine, what was our medium, when she came here, she said she could see a gentleman. His name's Francis. That she was seeing. And when we researched, it was him that was actually going into the grave to lie in the grave. But I must tell you a story with this one. I told the team with this, that we did meet up with a group, the one experience Shirebrook Most Haunted. Now imagine, I mean, this is way back. And it was inside, at the time you were allowed to go inside, and I farted. And it was like one that you didn't want to fart because they're all women. So you squeeze your cheeks, don't you? And I squeezed my cheeks, and it just sounded like it said hello. So they was all excited that they got a voice come through. And I didn't have the heart to tell them, folks. I didn't. But you know what I'm like, I'm sceptic, and I will say it as it is, do you know what I mean? But they were so excited. They've been with Shirebrook Most Haunted, and they've actually made contact with the dead. So, but sadly, they didn't.
The dead father.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there she is. So what we're going to do, folks, I'm sadly going to tell you the story, the real story of the Lodge Farm. Because I've got to admit, some on it was sadly made up, folks. But you will get the full story, because I actually attended the meeting with English Heritage. I think James Palmer might know this, with the residents and English Heritage, the problems they were having. So that's all I could say. So we're going to go to the Lodge Farm, and we should meet you there, folks.
Finish one up.
Yep.